And we are live.
Acting foolish, overdressed, confusing the crowd. You won't see me at this bar again. Happy hour, habit stars, my feet on the ground. Whiskey 7 on my cardigan. Last night.
Coming to you live from the great state of Wisconsin is the Overdue Sports Team. I am your host, Will Massa. To my right is our other host, Jake Sawinski. How we doing, buddy?
I'm doing just fine. How about you?
So I'm sure you're tired of answering that question. You'll
Oh
see all these
yeah.
videos out tomorrow, but we've been recording some of the conference conference tournament recordings over the last hour and a half or so. So I've asked Jake that question a handful of times tonight. So
Yeah, you'd think
we're
we would
watching all
just
of these
break it up.
consecutively. He's doing good.
Yeah.
This week, this is our weekly recap show, if you didn't read the title, but this week has been just terrible for me, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know how yours went, but I got absolutely wiped in college basketball all week, especially the tail end of the week. The beginning was like okay at best, but
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't catch a break. I don't even know if I wasn't catching breaks or if I was just bad. It was a little bit of both, to be honest with you.
I can relate to that. Yeah, that happens a lot of weeks. But this week I was pretty flat. I started out Monday, Tuesday. It was really good actually, and then Wednesday, Thursday were bad, and Friday was better. Then yesterday was good. Today was okay. So I'm up like a unit and a half, maybe. Like it was pretty modest day, almost 2 units, or modest week, I should say. But
Yeah, I'm down 4 right now, sweating out Nebraska -9. And they should. I'm pretty sure they're still up double digits. Last time I checked, they
yeah,
are against Rutgers at home. I actually didn't put out our college basketball picks today. I was out on the golf course. Now that we can golf in Wisconsin again, I was
well,
telling Jake I
sort
shot
of.
I shot a very mediocre 95 with some women golfers who told me that I should move up tees because it was more towards my skill set. Despite not touching clubs for the last 4 months, she said, I think you should move up from the blues to the whites. It would fit your skill set better. I said, lady, this is my third hole since July or I know September. It's like I haven't even looked at my clubs in that long. Like, you really think I'm going to come out here and spank drives on the first 3 holes? Let it be known my driver was elite the rest of the day, but the first 3 holes were really bad. I don't know that I got out of the tee box.
Yeah. I mean, I did see your tweet, and that gave me a laugh. I would have bet the over, just to be mean.
I also would have, to be honest with you. Coming into it, I was like, I don't know that I have what it takes right now. It wasn't terrible. It was not an awful day. I have golf worse than that.
Mm-hmm. I shot an 86 yesterday and a 90 today. So a lot of good, a lot of good, a lot of bad, but not bad.
Maybe we should have the Overdue Sports Open this summer.
Yeah, no. I'm not ready for that. Neither are you.
No, I'm for the record, I am like a mediocre at best golfer.
So am I.
Like the rest of the general population.
I do it more. That's the thing. I do it a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
Love golf. It's a good time.
On the college basketball front, there's a game. There was one game earlier this week that was really confusing to me, and I don't know if I just fell for the trap. Mississippi State laying a possession of points against Kentucky at home, and they lost by 2. And it was a pretty tight game for the most part. But they were up 7 at half, and they kind of just blew it late. Like they were still up by 5 at the 5-minute mark, and they just like let it slip. And I know Mississippi State like hasn't been great this year. Like they've been good at home. The defense is typically good at home. It shows up, but Kentucky just grinded it out and found another way to win. I don't know if you had any action on that game.
No, I didn't bet that game, but to me, like casually observing it, it seems like Kentucky's trending in the right direction. You know, the last 3-4 SEC games, they've been playing much better. And it always seems to come around that time when people are like questioning Calipari, like, hey, should he hang him up? He's got a lifetime contract. He's going when he wants to. But they're healthy too. Like they didn't have their best 5 players starting for them like all season. And I don't remember what game it was that they played where they were finally all back and they blitzed whoever they played. But then they do the classic, oh, we'll drop a stupid game to LSU there. And I feel like that was kind of the galvanizing moment for them. Like they've been pretty good ever since that LSU loss at home, I feel like. Fluky one, yeah, but I mean the Kentucky needs to, you know, get going. Like they might be a lower seeded team. March might take some of the pressure off, but like is Cal losing his fastball? Like I don't know. So the point is, I didn't really feel comfortable taking that game because I'm not sure how I feel about Mississippi State. I know Kentucky's kind of good, but misstep a lot, and just not so much on these two teams, but just in general. Like how we've talked about that unranked home favorite. I feel like that's going away. I think water's finding its level with that trend because
It is. I've gotten burned on it a
yeah.
couple of times over the last couple weeks.
I've gotten to the point where I'm fading it now. Like Wisconsin was in that boat yesterday, and I'm a Wisconsin fan. I think this season is like the worst fall of grace I've ever seen from like the number 6 team at one time. And like we knew that was not like indicative of how good they actually are. They're much improved on the offensive end. And I'm not a fire Greg Gard guy. I never will be. Like the amount of talent that guy usually gets and what he does with the team every year is nothing short of remarkable. To me anyways. You could ask a different Wisconsin fan and they'll be like, "Oh, it's time to go." You can ask another Big 10 fan and they'd be like, "Oh, it's time for him to go." They don't know what they're talking about. I have no problem with him. He's maybe this is probably the first time this season where it's like, I don't know. But I'm not at the let's fire him point yet. Definitely not. I mean, I think he's earned that. Like he's taken some pretty bad teams on good tournament runs. So I'm not gonna quit on him yet. But whole point being, it's like I'm actively fading that trend now. Like it's not working anymore.
Yeah, it's not. And we talked about this last week, how it seemed to be more present in the Big 12 than any other conference, and I think it's
Yeah,
even going away in the Big 12 as of late.
yeah. Tough road games. Good home
Yeah, and
court
I don't know if
advantage.
TCU in the top 25 for that game last week
I
against
don't
Baylor.
think so. I don't think
Yeah, they were
so.
laying 2.5 when Baylor came there. They took Baylor to OT at Baylor.
Hmm.
Again, I ran with the trend and they lost by 8. And to be honest, they kind of dressed it up. They weren't really ever in that game. Um,
Hmm.
it's it's odd to me that it's not odd because obviously like law of averages, it's not gonna hit at whatever it was at one point this season. It was hitting at like a 65% clip. Like it's not gonna happen for the entire
Yeah,
season.
and it's not even just for the entire season. It's been over like the last 6 years. So like
Yeah,
it's gonna even out. But it kind of goes to the point too where like you're kind of seeing the contenders and the pretenders in the Big 12. Like you're starting to get to that point where like they're definitely top to bottom the best conference in the country. I mean, I don't know if
100%.
you could provide any good debate to that. Like we said, tough road games, right? I mean, outside of West Virginia, really. West Virginia and even Oklahoma State plays
They
well
can
at home.
they can
Yeah,
sneak
like
up on a
West
team, but
Virginia's got some good home wins this year, but like you're seeing BYU lose at home. Like
Kansas
Houston,
just was that game. No, that
Kansas
game was on the
isn't.
road.
Yeah, I mean Kansas has probably. I mean it's probably a top 5 home court advantage, and like you're seeing them struggle at home a little bit. You're starting to see like what teams really have a shot in that conference.
Yeah,
And it's not even just that conference, it's kind of everywhere. Like we're getting to the point in the season where it's like, okay, we kind of know about everybody. We know all their the potential upside. We know about their shortcomings. And it seems like this last week especially we're really starting to see it in the betting world too, not just, casually watching.
yeah. I mean, I didn't have a lot of good things to celebrate this week. One game was the Notre Dame game. I believe you were on that as well. Notre Dame +6
Yeah,
against
Wake
Wake
Forest. Yep.
after the infamous court storming.
That's a classic letdown spot, though. I feel like that's
100%. I
still
take that every
those
single
still
time.
play. Those still play. It's hard, and
At
Notre
the
Dame's
system.
playing very well. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you know they cover spreads. Like it's Micah Shrewsbury's first year there since he took the Notre Dame job. Mike Bray retired. He left Penn State, and look at Penn State; they're even playing well too. Like some connection there. I don't know, but they were really bad to start. They are like they're not winning. Like they're still not a good team. They're super young. Shrewsbury's just getting started. They're going to be good in a few years. Trust me. He's a good skipper. But they cover spreads. They play hard. Like for the lack of talent they have, they play good defense, and they like you. It's hard to get frustrated when they lose a bet for you because they're like actively trying. You can see when you watch them. Oh, they'll miss free throw. Like execution's bad just because they're not that talented, but they try. Like the effort is apparent, and I do appreciate that as a sports bettor. Like you can tell, like they're trying. They cover spreads.
Yeah, that was a big one. One team that also want to touch down is Gonzaga. They had a huge week this week. They beat San Francisco pretty handily on neutral
Yeah,
court
that
on
wasn't
Friday.
close.
No, I
Where'd
know a
they
lot of
play
people
that
liked.
game?
It was
Sorry,
at
I didn't mean to
the
interrupt.
no, it was at the NBA court somewhere over there.
Oh, they didn't play in San Francisco?
No, it wasn't on campus, but it was in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Probably a different game if it's on campus, but nonetheless, they handled them, and then they beat St. Mary's last night handily again.
Did you bet that one last night?
No, I bet them against San Fran.
Yeah, I
They
know you
smoked
did
them.
that one. I didn't notice if you did last night.
No, I was kind of leaning towards St. Mary's in that just because the line, but glad I didn't. Would have been pretty on par for my week. Another team, Tennessee, handled Alabama last night.
Yeah, that was another one of those weird favorite lay it and didn't pan out, and like it did for half the game. It looked like Alabama started a little slow, but then they kind of got things under control and they just kind of choked it away at the end. Tennessee's good. People don't like Rick Barnes, but I don't understand
Rick Barnes
that.
in March is.
Yeah, I don't understand it because it's not like he's never done it before. You know, like he's had some pretty good teams that have choked. Not so much when he was at Tennessee, just because he's only been there a couple of seasons now. But when he was at Texas, you know, he had the yips, I guess you could call it. But this is the best Tennessee team he's had. That Dalton Connect kid. Is that how you say his name? Connect or
Yeah.
Connect? Dalton Connect's
Connect.
good. Like if Zach Edey, I want to bet him to win the Wooden Award, but he's not gonna. Like it makes me sad. It's like he's plus 5,000. Well, that's because he's gonna not win it because Zach Edey's still really good. But if that kid doesn't go pro, oh man, they're gonna be good. I imagine he's gonna leave as soon as he can because he's an NBA talent, but that kid is good.
Yeah, I could 100% see Tennessee making a run this year, even though they haven't in the last couple. We actually were just talking about this.
They made the Elite Eight last year, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and they lost to FAU. They're a good team too, but I like Tennessee. I think they're gonna make some noise.
Yeah, easily. And with Alabama, I'm kind of out on. We actually touched on this in one of our conference tournament previews. I just don't like that style of offense in postseason play. Like when you try to, when you're winning games, scoring over 100 points, it's hard to repeat that for however many games you have to win in a row for the tournament. Was it 7?
Yeah.
It just doesn't play in postseason. And postseason play is very heavily like teams that can play good defense and have really good guard play. And if your whole team is based around shooting the lights out and scoring 100 points, like you're probably not going to make a run. I think their ceiling is Sweet 16.
Oh,
you think so? Alabama?
Alabama? Well, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing as last year. Like they lost Brandon Miller, right? But like their exit last year is a perfect example of what you're saying. They meet this, rock'em sock'em robot style San Diego State team who might score 50 points in a game if they're lucky. and Alabama averaged in the 80s. Everyone liked Alabama, and I mean, just betting wise, if everyone likes a team, they're not winning. It's just a matter of time. But not even just being a contrarian, right? Just you looking at how basketball is played, it's true. I mean, there's a reason why they lost to San Diego State, because defense beats offense in college basketball.
Yeah.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Might not every time, but it does most of the, or a majority of the time.
Yeah,
It's just the way it is. So yeah, I'm not high on them either. And like, they're still good. I mean, I think me saying like national title was a little egregious. Like, it's hyperbole. They're still good.
I'm using
like,
ceiling as like not their hypothetical ceiling, but like what I think they could be.
They could. They're
it just
good
doesn't
enough.
hold up. I think Sweet 16 is
No.
probably
Yeah, like if they play their A game, they could beat anybody. But it's just they don't. Like, that's not gonna. They don't play good enough defense. That style is a little confusing to me too. But there's a balance, right? Like, look at Virginia. Like, if Virginia doesn't keep up, they're never catching up. And again, that's
Just look what
against
they
a
did against
normal
Duke.
team. Yeah, that's a normal team too. Like, they'll be down 20 and there's no sense of urgency. Like, you're not playing defense, Tony. You got to get the boys to start scoring. And this year's very frustrating to watch them because they're not talented. Like the years before, like when they were, winning when they won a national title, and minus the UMBC year, but like when they went on a run, those couple years there, like they had guys that could score. They had offensive talent. They were just excruciatingly, painfully patient. And they'd win games that way. If you're winning, that's fine, but like they're not talented enough to play that way. Like, you have to get shots up because your defense isn't good enough. Your offense is certainly not good enough. And like when I say their defense isn't good enough, it's not like their defense is bad. Like,
it's still solid.
Yeah, like your 50 points or 60 points a game allowed doesn't mean anything if you can't score that. And they can't.
But
they're not talented.
But look what happens. Like yesterday, they had an off night defensively against Duke, and Duke smoked them. I mean, it was 40-13 at halftime, I believe. Like, you have like one misstep defensively, and with that pace, like you said, like there's no urgency. Like they didn't look like they were ever intending to get back in that game, and they shot the ball a lot better in the second half. But
and that's where I kind of take the exception to that. Like when you're watching, or you kind of get irritated watching it, because it's not like, the inability to do it is a lot different than like the willingness to do it, because like the coach is like, okay, we're just going to stick to our style. It's like, dude, it's not working. Like, we got to get looks. Like, even when they're not getting smoked, it's like they're getting stops, but nothing's scoring. And you're just like, the time keeps ticking. Houston used to be the same way when Houston really first started to get going. It was like Houston wasn't great at scoring. They've since adapted and evolved from that, because now they can keep up with just about anybody because they're talented. But like, you're down 10 at halftime, say. You're down 10 at the 10-minute mark. You're down 10 at the 5-minute mark. It's like, you gotta get going, and they don't. So like, it's frustrating to watch, but I don't know. That's kind of my take on that. It's like, you got to find a happy medium. Like, you can't be run and gun the entire time and no defense like Iowa. Like, Iowa's not good. They're playing much better. They're going to get into the tournament, I think. But then it's like Virginia is your polar opposite, who's going to get into the tournament probably, and it'll be the same thing. Like, it's got to be somewhere in between. Like, defense is important. Like, I think South Carolina has found that recipe. Like, they're talented enough to keep up with most teams on offense, but they play really good defense too. Like, they can beat you scoring 90 points. They can beat you scoring 60 points. That's what you got to do. You got to. College basketball is a lot about tempo, but if you're not controlling it, like, what good is it? Like, you gotta win. You gotta try. Down 12 with 4 minutes left. You can't take 30 seconds on the shot clock. Eventually, you're going to run out of time for stops. Like, it's just how it is.
There's one game I want to touch on before I pass you the torch.
All right.
A game that kind of just honestly sums up my week on Friday. Illinois State minus 4.5 against Missouri State. They led by 10 for nearly the entire game. Well, second half, I should say. They were down by 3 at half. They came into the second half firing. They were up by 10 at the 5-minute mark. They were up 69-59 with 5 minutes left. And up until they hit a buzzer beater to win. So they won 75-74. But in the last 5 minutes, they only scored one bucket. They scored 2 on free throws at the very end, and they scored 1 basket to win the game. And it really just we have our running joke in our gambling group chat, and it's just the tragedy graphs on Action. If you use
Oh,
Action
yeah.
Network, you get the probabilities, and that one it's all the way down with 5 minutes, and then it spikes to Missouri State. So Illinois State, you contributed to this terrible week I'm having. So
Not to insult in the wound, but I did try to make you feel better by saying, hey, at least that graph was only 85% tragic, not 100%
that's
tragic.
true. Yeah, it didn't say they had 100% probability of covering up
Yeah.
by 10 with 5 minutes left. But to have them scoring, 6 total points the rest of the way was not on my bingo card. Not what I needed.
No, definitely.
Any college basketball teams or games you want to touch on?
I'll look through, but one thing I do want to say is I don't know if anyone listening can relate to this or you can relate to this, but do you ever find yourself just focusing on one conference for whatever reason? Not even because you're like getting it, like you're seeing it well. Maybe part of that, but like you're just betting one conference, like for whatever reason, like your brain is gravitating to like one area. I
Yes.
don't think I've ever bet this much A10 in my life.
I shit you not. I was about to say it's the A10. I don't know what it is. On big slates, I come away with my list, and I'll have a list of like 12, 15 games. 9 of them are from the A10. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm starting to get a good gauge on that conference, and typically I'm very poor at the A10. Like I remember last year, I bet UMass against Richmond, and it was horrible. Like I tripled down twice. It was bad. It was really bad. I had a bad March just because that's how it started. That first game at like 11 a.m. But yeah, I've been betting a lot of A10, and honestly, if I don't bet Rhode Island ever, I'm betting the A10 pretty well. I bet Duquesne twice this week, and Duquesne's like a team that like has pissed everybody off all season because they're always in those like contrarian nasty spots, but they make sense and like they're really not that bad. I got them twice this week. I bet them against LaSalle on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. No, I'm sorry, Wednesday. What was the first day of this week? The 26th?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I bet them on Wednesday, and I bet them again yesterday. They're just coming through for me. Like beat LaSalle, they beat George Mason outright on the road yesterday, and I'm making good reads on them. I faded LaSalle. LaSalle pushed on me yesterday. They blew it against G-Dub, but they were like losing most of the game, and they came back and won. Like you ever have an inkling that like, oh, this team's gonna find a way to come through? Like
Yeah.
I had that feeling. It's just like G-Dub's bad. I call George Washington G-Dub. So if you're confused when I'm saying G-Dub, that's what I mean. But yeah, I'm just betting a lot of A10 for whatever reason, and
I've been doing
it's
that all
working.
season, and I haven't been that good in the A10. So it's more so like I think it's just incidental. Those lines to me, I feel like I see better than maybe I am. I'm like a couple games under 500 in the A10 on the season. I couldn't tell you exactly. So I'm not like awful in
Yeah.
the A10, but I've just bet it a lot this year. I've bet UMass a lot of times. I actually like UMass. Frank
Max
Martin,
team
a
next year.
great,
Yeah.
yeah, great coach. I like them, but I bet a lot of A10 for whatever reason it is. I gravitate towards those games.
Right. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I miss a couple too though. Like I have an addiction to betting Rhode Island. They're horrible. I don't know why I keep doing it. But I think they ended up winning yesterday. Maybe not. I don't remember. I was thinking about betting St. Louis, but I don't know if St. Louis came through or not. They're bad too.
They are bad this
Billy
year. They
Kings
weren't
has
that
been
bad
good.
last year.
No, like Yuri Collins left. He was their point guard. He was really good.
Mhm.
I've ate some shit on those guys as well, St. Louis. But like they've been okay to me. Like I lose it, I get it back. Loyola Chicago's been really good to me this year. Like I don't know if I've missed one with them. Like they've been awesome. I like them in that A10 tournament too. We'll get to that.
That'll be a fun one, actually.
Later in the
That's one of the ones
series, but
that's one of
yeah,
the
I like
mid
Loyola
majors I'm more
Chicago.
excited for.
But I mean, basketball wise, I went through like it seems to me like Monday, Tuesday, like typically I'm really bad on Mondays, but I've seemed to flip that a little bit. In the last couple of weeks, I'm not trying to mush it for the weeks coming, of course, but the last few weeks it seems like I've been okay or like good to like okay to good on Mondays. Tuesdays I'm typically really good. Like you get the high profile college basketball games. Like the jury's out on them. You kind of know what's going on. Wednesday, I typically struggle the last couple of weeks. Normally, I'm okay on Wednesdays, but like the last 2 Wednesdays, I've been pretty bad. Thursdays have been my really bad beats day. Like I get the tragic things happening on Thursdays where like your team's covering the entire time and then it falls apart. Yeah, Thursday night, I bet that was the 29th. Thursday night, this isn't college basketball, but like I bet the NBA, I bet the Hornets plus 11.5. They lost by 12. Like they were like 10 with a minute left and they missed 2 threes and Bucks got a layup. Uh, Western Illinois, I had them minus 6.5 against Eastern Illinois. They were up like 10 most of the game. They won by 4. Then you saw that switch to me being horrible. Like I bet 2 totals. I bet St. Mary's and Pepperdine under, which that one missed by 4. That didn't end up being that bad. But I bet under UCLA and Washington, and they like doubled it. 94-77 under 139.5. That was a terrible bet. But I've been also very good in the MAC. MAAC.
A little bit of action.
Yeah, I love Ryder.
MAAC.
Ryder's my team. I love Ryder.
The moving company.
Yeah, I love Ryder. They are my
and actually,
Harris too.
I like Fairfield in there. I bet Fairfield a lot this year.
Fairfield's actually good, so like it makes sense that you bet them. But like, I bet Marist a lot. I love Marist. Marist and Ryder are like my 2 teams.
I've bet Manhattan more than I'd care to admit this season.
Oh, I do too. They're horrible, but I bet them all the time. Yeah, but see, the left side of your screen will like have comment like bets that actually make sense, and then the right side of your screen just does anything. He thinks it's right, he'll do it. Like I'm not afraid of anything. It's so gross sometimes. I just
get drawn to Manhattan because they'll be playing like St. Peter's and catching like 11.5, and I'm like, that's too many.
They're a try team.
Good, but like
they're like a Notre Dame. They're a try team. Yeah, like I haven't watched them at all this season. I don't have my ESPN Plus up and running, but they're a try team. And it's fun when they make a layup. You're just like Jaspers, and then they keep playing. It's fun. They're fun.
That's why we need daytime basketball back. I love the MAAC games at noon on a Friday in the office. The last one that happened was a Fairfield game that I bet. Fairfield -2 against, maybe it was Marist, and they ran him out of the gym. But it was like noon on a Friday. I just got to kick back and watch MAAC basketball. I was like, this is amazing. And the NCAA decided that they didn't want to give us any.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
They sneak the MAAC games on the middle of a Saturday slate just so people will watch. I'm gonna watch St. Pete versus Ryder with Tennessee and Alabama backed up to it. Like,
bet your bottom dollar I'm betting on Ryder. But going into Saturday, or I'm sorry, I kind of passed over Friday. Friday I was okay. Like I was down a little bit in college basketball. Nothing to really write home about. Just trying to see. Yeah, I bet Ryder and Marist and then Arkansas State. That was a bad bet. But Saturday I had a slow start, and this is encouraging because it was the same thing last Saturday too. Had a couple clunkers early, and like I just stuck with it. Didn't get frustrated or anything. Just be like, okay, go hour at a time. I was on the golf course, so it's like, okay, every hour I'll check. Did some at the driving range. Did some at 1:00 on like hole 7. Did some at 2:00 on like the turn. Passed over to 3:00 slate, but missed Kansas and DePaul. DePaul's a bad bet. Like I like to refer myself as the Big East connoisseur of all my friends because I seem to know the Big East very well. This year it just hasn't translated. Maybe it's because you're calling yourself the connoisseur of the Big East. Like, when I'm saying I'm bad, I'm not like awful at it. Like, I'm still probably up on it. It's just not like last year. I bet you I hit Big East at a 60% clip. Like, I was really good at the Big East. I bet you it's like 54 this year. But there's just no need to bet DePaul ever. They're 3-26. There's just no
literally
need.
never.
But
They might be catching 30 points.
yeah, but to my
not worth
credit,
it.
like they played well for like 10 minutes in the first half and then 15 minutes in the second half. Like they just die. Like I was talking to you guys about it in our group chat. I was like, I bet on these teams that just die for 10 minutes and they can't recover. Like they lost by 19. They were plus 12.5. If they didn't go scoreless for 7 minutes in the first half, they're probably covering that spread. Like they were up 19-18, and then I checked it again. They were down 34-19 in a 6-minute, 7-minute span. So it's like even the losers I have are off by a stretch. It's like I did the same thing with Bryant and Lowell on Thursday night. It's just they die for. That was a noise.
That's our door to my apartment.
Oh, I was just
on the outside. It's like the common area.
But from 1 o'clock on, I was really good. I got home and donated a little bit. Boston College was a bad bet. Louisville looked like a bad bet, but they only lost by 6. They tried really hard. And then today, Niagara and Seton Hall. We talked about it before the show started. I just made some bad reads. Like I was like, I'll see. I'm a splits better occasionally. Like I don't like to go religiously on it, but it was like a coin flip to me. It's like, okay, it's getting contrarian, sharp action, but they won by 15 the first time they played UConn, and that's a big number. I just coin flipped wrong on both of those, so like it didn't make a ton of sense. So like those were 2 avoidable mistakes. But yeah, I mean, college basketball was not bad this week. I was only up 0.9 units, but flat's okay.
Green is green.
Green is green.
I didn't really bet much NHL. I only bet one NHL game, so I don't really have to touch there. I went 0-1 this week on the Blues. Can't remember who they played. It was early in the week.
Winnipeg.
But yes, who is my kryptonite. I've tweeted about them before. People know how I feel about that team. That's like the untouchable team for me over the last 2 seasons. Like any game that I take them, they will not score and they'll lose by probably 3 or 4. Like Hellebuck just doesn't show up. And then anytime I fade them, God, dude, they look like the best team. If I bet them every single game, I think they'd go undefeated if I faded them.
Well, can you do me a favor and start to bet on them? Because I do have a future on Sergei Bobrovsky to win the Vezina this year. I am holding a plus 4,000 ticket on Sergei Bobrovsky, and he is now the 3rd odds-on favorite. He is plus 1,600. So please bet the Canucks and please bet the Jets for me. That way I can cash on that ticket.
This rule only applies for the Jets, unfortunately. If I take the Jets, he will play bad.
Okay, well, do that.
That's how I feel about Saros too in Nashville. Anytime I back him, he is just Swiss cheese.
Yeah, he's not.
It looks like he doesn't even try.
Yeah, he's not.
But then if I fade them,
yeah, I understand. But last week I said the totals were really good to me. It's kind of flipped. Like I've been pretty good on sides, and then the totals have been not so great. I bet the Ducks Friday night missed the total. I'm really sad. I only took the plus 1.5. I get mad when they win by 1, and I didn't play the money line, and I played the plus 1.5. But it was plus 130 on our Mickey Mouse Sportsbook, so it was a juicy plus 1.5, which I'm glad I took because they were winning pretty much the whole game. But I wish I would have hit the money line too. But hockey, that's pretty much about it too, and we don't even have to recap the NBA because I mean I don't really care.
It's fake.
Yeah, I've hit 2 in a row, trending in the right direction. So
that is. I'll touch on college baseball quick, just because that's my self-proclaimed forte. I may have done what you did in the Big East this year. I may have jinxed myself a little bit. I'm still up on the year. Still up 3 units on the year, so I'll take that. Pretty lackluster week. 4 and 5. And should have been 4 and 4. I threw down a stupid ad yesterday of Florida and LSU in a parlay, and I should have known better. Florida is playing. There's 2 series I kind of want to touch on: Florida and Miami. Florida took the first game. Miami took game 2. Today, Florida won the series, but we got to talk about one thing: the umpires in the NCAA. In the last week, there's been 2 kids that have been ejected for bat flipping. One from Grand Canyon last weekend, and one from Florida today. And they don't say anything to the dugout. They don't look at the dugout even. He just runs halfway down the baseline with the bat, gives it a flip, and he's getting ejected at home plate, which is changing the game, like in its own way. It changes the game when you have to fix your lineup like that. But at the end of the day, these umpires are just making it about them. And there's a lot of people who support them. And if you support that, you are soft. If you think that the pitcher's feelings are getting too hurt coming from a pitcher
you're a dork.
who gave up plenty of nukes. If you get
you're a
one,
dork.
you are 100%.
Yeah,
It's
no, like
ridiculous to
that's
me.
such a bad take. It's
It's
like
horrible.
it's like Jay Billis going on part of my take and saying we need to like I think court storming should be banned. You're just
It
a
is.
nerd. You're a dork. You're a dweeb. You're a doofus.
They're
You're a
19-year-old
dunce.
kids. People who
Could keep
agree with
going.
those takes have never, in my opinion, have typically never played sports in a very competitive environment, like to that extent.
They haven't played
To where when
anything
you
in a competitive environment.
that
Like there's no reason to have that take. Who cares? Like if you're
No.
the pitcher and you're getting mad, don't throw the pitch there. It's like, do you remember a couple years ago when Madison Bumgarner gave up a home run to
to Max Muncy.
Yeah, he's like, go get it out of the ocean. It's like, don't throw it
Told him to go
there.
get it.
Yeah, it's like don't
Yelled at
he's
him
like,
for
don't
watching
pimp
it,
that.
and
Yeah, yelled
Muncy
at him
told him to
around
go
the
get
whole
it.
base. He's like, well, go get it then. It's like that's how it should be. Don't throw that shitty pitch. It's that easy. I mean, with the college, I guess I kind of see like if it's egregious, like if you're like making gestures or something, I guess that's a little different in college, just because like you're kind of representing your school. Like if you're doing something obscene, I guess I could see like what I
But
mean.
just a
Like
bat flip.
yeah, no, like I'm not condoning him getting ejected by any stretch of the imagination, but like if you're doing something that's a little obscene, I could see you getting tossed for that. Like they do that in the pros even, but like for a bat flip, like baseball has this stigma of being boring and unexciting, and then players are trying to make it unboring and exciting, and you're penalizing them for it. That's
And you get
insane to
upset.
me. Yeah, no, it's crazy to me. Like let them have fun too, just because it's a different style of baseball that you grew up watching doesn't mean it's
Yeah, so
bad.
back in my day, they'd get hit in the head
Yeah.
if they did that.
Well, yeah, sure. Hit him in the head.
Sure,
Whatever.
if you really want to. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Like baseball just seems to be the stuffiest of the sports. It's like golf, but like baseball has like the national spotlight of, like look how hard it is to get in the Hall of Fame. Like I think that's a good thing. But you know what I mean? Those baseball writers are so stuffy in the fact that like Barry Bonds is the probably the best baseball player of all time. The guy would have been a Hall of Famer if he didn't juice up.
100%.
And they saved baseball. Like Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa should be in the Hall of Fame. Like maybe not because if you think, the impurity of their steroid use, waters them down, fine. But like they have a significant story in the way baseball has transformed in the last 30 years. And I'd say it should be, celebrated by them being in the Hall of Fame. Like, you know what I mean?
Should
It's
be.
like, yeah, I think so. And it's like hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in any sport. You can ask a ton of athletes in any sport. They'll tell you, yeah, hitting
Everyone
a
will say it.
baseball is hard. It's like you can be juiced to the gill. Like Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler or Arnold Schwarzenegger could go try to hit a baseball and they can't. Like you taking steroids doesn't make you good at baseball. It makes you strong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But yeah, I didn't mean to steal your show there. But yeah, the bat flips are fucking insane. I don't get it.
No, that's really all I got. Midweeks have been hit and miss for me. I think my new strategy with the underdogs that I take in midweeks are going to be taking the teams that I think have no chance of winning, because the underdogs that are maybe long shots, like I took Indiana State at Vanderbilt this week at plus 200. And Indiana State had been 7-0 to that point. The pitching staff was really good. Vandy's struggled with some lesser teams. So I was like, oh, this should be a game. Vanderbilt beat them by like 15. And on the same night, like 3 other top 10 teams lost in their midweek. So Midweeks are always just crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's
It's hard
tough
to
to read in.
handicap the short travel and,
Short
long
travel.
flight,
It's
get
like
back.
there's
Yeah.
no real starters. It's kind
Yeah,
of
it's
mostly
it's
Johnny
crapshoot.
bullpen, Johnny whole
Yeah,
staff.
it's a
Yeah.
crapshoot. So it's hard to handicap that, but stick with it. It'll turn around.
Overall, just down a unit. We're still up 3 on the season, so we're still
It's
looking good.
early. It's early.
It's very early. Conference play is really where trends start to set in, and it gets a lot better. These tournaments are a little bit wacky too because everybody's playing back-to-back games against different teams who are setting up their rotations differently. So kind of just depends. But that's all I got for college baseball corner. You got anything?
No, I think we covered just about everything. Like, this is March, like John Rothstein says. We only got a few more
It's
sleeps
March.
until the big dance.
It's Jake's favorite sporting event.
One shining moment. It's the best sporting event. Like, don't change it either. Leave it exactly the way it is. It's awesome. Leave it alone. Except I don't want the 16 seeds playing in a buy-in game, or not a buy-in
I
game,
agree.
but a play-in game. I don't want the 16 seeds in the play-in game. I want to see them get trounced by somebody.
I know I like having it as like the 13 seed. Well, there's 2 of them, right? 2 of them are the 13s, and then there's 2 of them that are like the 16s.
I don't know if it's the same. It's definitely 2 16s because like Texas Southern and Corpus Christi played last year, I think.
Yeah.
But I want to say it's 11.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, Pitt and Mississippi State were 11 seeds last year. But then like, see that those 2 are like fine to me. I just don't like when they have the 16 seeds do it because like they won their conference. Like, why are you eliminating one of them just because they're bad? Like, I don't think that's very fair. But then again, it's like we get to watch teams like that we've rather would have watched paint dry all season. Like Pitt and Mississippi State last year were terrible. Like, why do we get to watch them? Same thing with Arizona State and Nevada. Not Nevada. Nevada's good.
Yeah.
But like, why the hell are we watching them? We don't want to watch them again. So like, make them duke it out. Like, more of that. I think that's where your 13 seed. Well, no, Nevada was good enough to be more than a 13 seed.
I think they were 11s.
Yeah, I think it's
2 11s and then 2 16s.
Yeah, like do that. That's the only change I think they should make. I like the playing games. It's more basketball. That's cool, but like I don't think they should make 2 16 seeds who've won their conference and kind of earned the right to be there to have to play an extra game for it. Yeah, and like you ask those small schools, like they want to play a 1 seed,
right?
They don't care. They're just happy to be there. Don't make them go away. You know what I mean? Just reseed them. Hey, if the winner of the Southland is like McNeese State is good enough,
give them the 15 seed. 15,
yeah, 15 seed. They'll be okay. They're not going to win anyways, or will they? Who knows?
Well, that's our show, folks. Be sure to find us on Twitter at Overdue Sports, www.overduesports.com. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Finally plugging it. Always forget to do that.
Mm-hmm.
On to another week. We'll have some more stuff coming out tomorrow, as always, on Mondays. And you'll catch all of these tomorrow. So we are out of here.